A new bill introduced in Congress would prevent the federal government from using national emergencies to force gun control. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. There has always been concerns that the federal government might one day use a national emergency as an opportunity to enact sweeping gun control. Since Hurricane Katrina and then the nightmare that was COVID, those concerns got a lot more real. Then, last year, Biden's Surgeon General Vivek Murthy claimed gun violence was a public health crisis, using doctored stats from the Gun Violence Archive. He cited their website several times as a main source of information, as well as the debunked claim that gun violence is now the #1 killer of children, unfortunately cementing that false stat into public discourse, and ignoring the fact that 18 and 19-year-old boys are not children. Now, as we also saw during Katrina and COVID, times of emergency are the most when you want a gun, because criminals will always take advantage of the chaos. I firmly believe that if Hurricane Helene had happened in a largely anti-gun area as opposed to here, we would have seen a lot more crime and looting than we did. Just look at the California wildfires and the literal caravans of looters driving into abandoned and damaged neighborhoods to steal anything that was left. Here, there was a report of like one lefty for the area little shop losing its generators, that someone stole their generators. Other than that, I didn't hear of anything like that happening. So, U.S. Rep. Michael Cloud from Texas has introduced a bill to prevent exactly that kind of scenario from happening. But before I get into the details on it, this video is brought to you by Blackout Coffee Company. Now, Blackout is a Florida-based coffee roaster that has very strong roots in supporting Second Amendment rights and traditional values. They support channels like mine and even have dedicated partner roasts that raise money for GOA, FPC, and the Second Amendment Foundation. So, to get a cup of coffee or tea or hot chocolate that you can be proud of and help support the channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/libertydoll, and as a bonus, you can use code libertydoll for a one-time 20% discount. Like some other pro-gun bills I've discussed on the channel lately, and unfortunately some anti-gun ones, this bill is a repeat. That is apparently the pattern this year. It was also introduced in 2021 and 2023 when the makeup of Congress and obviously the White House were very different. The previous two iterations were a direct response to COVID and how we saw some states try to limit Second Amendment rights during lockdowns. The 2023 press release also mentioned the New Mexico emergency declaration to limit gun rights in certain parts of the state, essentially suspending the Second Amendment in Albuquerque, with mixed results. We don't have full text of the 2025 version yet, but we can expect it to be a copy of previous versions, perhaps with some expansions, as the 2023 version did add more things to the list of stuff that the government can't mess with under the bill. So here is the 2023 version. A bill to prohibit the President and the Secretary of Health and Human Services from declaring certain emergencies or disasters for the purpose of imposing gun control. The President, or any designee thereof, shall not, for the purpose of imposing gun control, declare an emergency pursuant to the National Emergencies Act or an emergency or major disaster pursuant to the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act. The Secretary of Health and Human Services shall not, for the purpose of imposing gun control, declare a public health emergency pursuant to Section 319 of the Public Health Service Act. And the bill would amend the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act so that, under an emergency, the government could not prohibit the possession, manufacture, sale, or transfer of arms, as protected by the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, prohibit the possession, manufacture, sale, or transfer of ammunition, prohibit the possession, manufacture, sale, or transfer of ammunition feeding devices, or prohibit the possession, manufacture, sale, or transfer of firearms accessories. Now, the Second Amendment should be enough to stop these things from happening, but of course that's not how the world works. Again, as we saw in 2020 and Hurricane Katrina. In a statement, Cloud said, "We saw during COVID how government agencies exploited emergency powers to strip Americans of their freedoms, including attempts to use public health declarations as a tool for sweeping mandates and restrictions. We've also seen how the federal bureaucracy has made it clear they will seize any opportunity to expand their control at the expense of our liberties. We must steward this window of opportunity to re-secure these rights for the American people and ensure no administration can use emergency declarations as a backdoor for unconstitutional gun control." And he's right, our best shot is now. The measure is backed by both GOA and the National Association of Gun Rights. I'm not sure on what I think the chances of this one are, but I do think it's got a far better shot today than it did in 2021 and 2023. It would definitely give more teeth to the Second Amendment should another COVID-like situation ever happen, which shouldn't even be necessary, but I personally will never forget, back in Massachusetts when I used to live there, thank God I'm gone now, the fights that some FFLs put up against the state trying to close their shops. You might remember when I had John Costa on the show way back then, when I still did live streams and did not have a chaotic toddler. He was the owner of the Gun Runner LLC, a shop that I personally shopped at back when I lived up there, and everything that he went through to stand up for people's rights, including operating illegally under cease and desist orders for not being a quote-unquote essential business. Hopefully, a bill like this would prevent anything like that from ever happening again, assuming it can get through Congress. Anyway, that is it for this video. You guys know the drill. For all of the algorithm things, please do them. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there and happy shooting.